Abari, welcome to Tumaini Evangelistic Pre and Primary English Medium School presentation. Tumaini means hope in Swahili. I am Stephen Hendricks. I'll be leading you on this presentation. I am currently serving as a full-time missionary engineer in Kiruani, Tanzania, which is where the school is located. A little bit about myself. Many people ask me what a missionary engineer is. I'm basically trying to show the love of Jesus Christ through action. I often work on building things that the people actually need, like medical clinics, rainwater harvesting, solar power, and currently I'm working on the school. I've traveled a good bit while I was in the Army. Then after the Army, I went on and got my engineering degree. After that, I worked for several different companies, including construction and architecture firms, before starting my own engineering firm, which I had for 15 years before deciding to become a full-time missionary. I started missionary work in 2001 with a short-term trip to design a rainwater harvesting system in Tanzania and continued to go on teams in the area and to other locations until 2004 when I led my first foreign mission team from our church to Peru. I've been on 17 short-term mission trips. 5 of those I led and 3 were by myself or with someone else. I became an individual volunteer missionary with the United Methodist Church in 2014 when I was working in another site in Tanzania. I am now working just as a volunteer missionary by myself in Tanzania. Where is Tanzania? Well, it's located in East Africa. It's just underneath the Horn of Africa, and it's surrounded by countries that you often hear in the news, such as Kenya, Uganda, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Zambia, Rwanda, Burundi. Now, amidst all these countries you've heard over the last years that have conflict and uprisings and other political melees going on, Tanzania itself has been an extremely peaceful country overall. Yes, there's some crime in the larger cities, but Tanzania overall is an extremely peaceful country. Inside of Tanzania, we are located just below the border of Kenya. Our nearest large town is the town which people jump off to Mount Kilimanjaro, which is Moshi. We're about 2.5 hours away from the Kilimanjaro airport, which is one of the larger airports in the country that serves for a lot of the tourist and safari folks. Life in Tanzania can best be described as pretty hard. As you can see in this photo, they're still doing things like plowing using donkey pull plows or bull pull plows to plow the land. Almost everybody in Tanzania is either an agriculturalist or pastoralist. They herd cattle. As you can see, it's basically an entire family event to plow a field with one of these type plows. It requires at least 2 people normally to keep the animals going somewhat straight, 1 to 2 people working the plow, and then normally 1 person who's got the stick trying to get the animals to go faster. This is an area near our site. We're near a Masai Tribe, and so they have just started moving from being a nomadic tribe to being one that are starting to build more permanent homes. You'll often find in the area mud stick homes with thatch roofs, and that's very common amongst the elders in the tribe. It'll be right next to one of their kids' houses that has cement blocks and a tin roof. You'll also notice in this picture that there are some cattle. They are ringed by a thorn bush. They basically go cut these thorn bushes and they create a ring around to act as the catch for all the animals. This is both to keep predators out and keep the animals in. Ladies in Tanzania love to still carry stuff on their head. I don't think they'll change that anytime soon. It's often very common to see kids as well carrying things on their heads. This young lady is carrying a 5-gallon bucket of water, and basically she takes that to church every Sunday as her donation to the pastor because she lives near a water resource and her pastor doesn't. They still wash clothes in buckets. Matter of fact, I do that myself when I'm there. Just get out the bucket, throw some hand washing soap in there, and then your clothes and self-agitate. It's a long process. It's hard on the back, and then they hang them up to dry. A kid's life in Tanzania is very different from ours. First of all, you'll often find kids wandering around on the streets or walking along the dirt roads by themselves. There's not as much parent supervision or constant supervision like we would have in the U.S. It's often common for kids to have jobs, actual work. For example, the two boys in the top picture are herding cattle after school. It's a very common thing for our kids to have to do that after they get out of class. It's also common for children to have to monitor their younger siblings when the parents are out working. So they may be coming to school or going to an event, and they carry their smaller siblings with them while they go there and take care of them. Also, an interesting note is that I often get asked when people are coming over to vacation Bible schools about getting safety scissors. And I always laugh a little bit when I hear this question, because what I find are that most of the safety scissors are not necessary, because our kids leave and then they're using machetes or knives, such as this young boy who's peeling quesadillas with a knife, and he's about 4 or 5 years old. Water in Tanzania is one of the most precious resources, especially clean water. Dysentery is still one of the major sicknesses or illnesses in the country that are treated. So anytime you can provide clean water resources to a community, it's vital. Our school has a clean water board well that has an electric pump run by a generator, and we pump that up to elevated tanks, fill those tanks up, and then use gravity to feed the water from the tanks into the buildings themselves. So one of the interesting facts about our site is we actually have flushing toilets, which is a first for me in Tanzania, other than being at a hotel in a big city. So that's an exciting development we've had. Here's the site where a local church had a pump. It broke. We assisted them in getting it fixed, and this is right after the repairs have been done. We suggest hand pumps for when you're doing bored wells, because of the fact that it's much easier to repair. Typically, there's somebody in the village who has repaired one at some point in time, and they can help and assist in doing that. And it's much cheaper to get the parts to fix one. We're quite proud of our facilities. The reasons why we're quite proud of our facilities, other locations I've been, we built buildings out of red mud bricks. The problem with red mud bricks is the fact that, first of all, there's no quality control in the building of those bricks. But in addition, any animal that burrows through the ground will burrow through those bricks, because it's just basically dirt to them. So they get into your buildings. They often cause your buildings to fail because they burrow too much. We use concrete blocks that we make on site. In addition to that, we do the tin roofs, which are common along a lot of the country. But in addition to that, we use steel trusses, because steel is much cheaper in this area of the country. So we use that, but it also provides us with a much stronger, better roof than we would normally get. We use reinforcing steel in our columns and our floors, allowing them to be much stronger and better designed to handle any earthquakes that come along. And more importantly, the most common method of building a large floor is to lay bricks out and then do a top coat of concrete, which causes a lot of holes to develop in your floor that have to constantly be patched and repaired. With the reinforcing steel, especially wire mesh, in the concrete floors, and we pour a monolithic slab, we're able to build a much better floor that will stand up better over time and have less repairs. Some challenges we face in education. For example, the standards. The government standard for passing a grade is 30% correct on a test. And it's often that in classes in the government schools, only 20% will pass. The standard we've set is 70% correct to get a passing grade. And we expect 100% of our kids to pass. So we're already setting some new goals for our school. In addition, gender. Culture is that they typically don't send girls to school. The reason is they typically think of them to be housewives, so they don't really need a lot of training for that other than what they would get at home. So we're trying to develop an idea that They need to look at their girls going to school so they have better options. They can be the housewife if that's what they want, but they can also be teachers, doctors, nurses, anything they want to be, as in addition to being a wife or on their own. So it gives them more options than they would have if they didn't go to school. Our school is currently 45% girls, and we're working to increase that at all times. We want to get a complete representation of what's in the village near us. Whatever percentage of girls versus boys that the village has, we want our school to have. Distance. It's often common for kids to have to walk to school, and it's often very far. Matter of fact, there are some kids I know that walk as much as 3 or 4 miles to school. So when they get there, they're tired in the morning because they've just walked that far. Our school, we transport kids living more than a mile away. And it's a good system that has worked well, and our kids come ready, pumped up to go to school. English. The government standard is they teach Kiswahili in primary school with no English classes. And then when they get into secondary school, their high school, everything is supposed to be taught in English. All their textbooks are in English. It already puts people behind because they don't know the language that they're being taught in. So our school is an English primary school. Basically, we teach English, everything in English in the primary school with classes in Kiswahili. So they still learn their local language, but they're being prepared for secondary school and college later on. Our school, we currently have 40 students. That's in 2018, about midway through the first year. 8 in Standard 1, 10 in Pre-Unity, 22 baby nursery. We have, like I said, 45% girls. They mostly come from the Masai tribal families. And in our first end of semester test, we had 100% of our children pass with an average grade of 82% correct. So already we're seeing an impact from our school on the grades and the learning capabilities of the students. We have 9 staff members. One thing we have here at this site I've never had before in Tanzania is a volunteer who is the school director. It's one of the local pastors. He spends roughly 5 or 6 hours a week working at the school, helping organize things. He's also in charge of the hiring process, helping us determine which children can pay and which children can't pay, because we live on a facility that we basically ask if they can pay some, pay what they can, and don't want to put anybody in hardship. We want them to come to school, but also we would like local contributions so that they can be invested in the school and their children's education. We have the headmaster, 3 teachers, 2 guards, one of which we're switching over more to a maintenance person, a cook, and a driver for the school transport. And each year, from this year on, we'll be adding at least 1 teacher as we add an additional grade to our school. Primary school has 7 standard grades, and we only have the standard 1 right now because we got certified late in 2017. So each year we'll be adding 1 additional class, and we'll need a new teacher for that. Here's our school transport. It's donated by the local pastor, who's also our school director. We pay for the gas and the salary of the driver. Our kids get 2 meals a day. In the morning it's porridge. In the afternoon they get either rice and beans, ugali and beans, or corn and beans. You may have noticed a theme there. Beans are very common and one of the more staple items for getting protein in the country. It's rare for them to kill an animal except for at special occasions. Even if they're herders of cattle, they rarely ever kill one to eat themselves. They typically sell them or use them for a special occasion. We are an evangelistic school, so we do preach. We do have Bible classes. Every morning we have prayer and devotion time, and then once a week we have an actual Bible class. We purchased 100 Best Live Bible stories for the Standard 1 kids, and then the kids on their own came up with the idea they would operate the books, and the younger kids would surround the desk and follow along as the older kid helped them. And that was an idea suggested by our Standard 1 kids. So what's coming? Well, the missionary house that I'll be living in will be complete in June, which means I'll be back living on site at the school itself. We're going to be adding more educational resources. I'm not just talking about books per se. We want every child to have a book. We want every child to have access to the Bible. But in addition to that, there are some educational cartoons that are produced in Tanzania. One's called Akili and Me, which is great for the age group we have right now. And we want to start showing those on TVs there at the school. In addition, there's an idea I'll propose to you at the end of this about people in the U.S. creating some videos that we can show on the TVs as well. And as the years progress, we're going to be adding more classes, as I mentioned earlier. That means adding 20 to 30 kids per year. That's 20 to 30 kids we have to feed, we have to provide educational materials for, and an additional teacher we have to add every year that we have to pay for. We'll also have to be adding more classrooms. We'll have to be adding more desks, more chairs, everything that goes along with adding more students. I want to just talk a little bit about the impact of monetary donations. Now, in addition to this presentation on this blog, I also have basically a trifold brochure you can download as well. And on the back of that, it has a lot more items about how you can impact us with monetary donations. I just want to go over 3 real quick, because most people don't understand how much a small contribution can impact us greatly. $30 a month, that's a student's tuition in our school. That covers everything. Their transportation, their meals, their teachers, everything to do. So each year we're going to be adding 30 more students that are costing us $30 a month. So it's very easy to contribute something small and have a huge impact on our school. $1,500 a year, that pays a teacher's salary for the entire year. $1,000 a year, that provides Bibles and textbooks for one class of about 30 students. All right, some additional ways you can impact us without sending over monetary donations. You can join or lead a mission team to our site. That's always positive for us, because when people come over and have spent time on our site, they typically want to come back. They typically want to talk about it. They typically want to stay involved. These kids will grab your heart and hang on to it. Stop by while you're on vacation. If you decide you want to go to Africa and do safari, we're a great place. We're near Mount Kilimanjaro. We're near Ngora, Tarangire. So those are some great places for you to visit, and you can come visit our site for a day, see the kids, learn about what's going on, and just kind of see how things actually are. As an individual, you can come over, hang out for a couple of weeks, a month. Doesn't matter if you're in school, college, or if you're between jobs, or if you're retired. We would love for you to come over and spend some time with us. And you can teach, just play with the kids. You can just hang out with the locals. Anything along those lines you want to do, we can try and find a way to plug you in. So feel free to contact me personally about that, and we'll help you make that a reality. Something new I'm trying to present to people are virtual mission trips. This is where you can make a video reading a children's story and mix in pictures from the illustrations in the book, and we can show that to the children over there. So they have somebody from America reading them a book, and they get to hear a native English speaker reading that book, which helps with their learning of English, but also we want to enhance their creativity by exposing them to more things. A lot of the children, when we ask them to draw things, only draw things they know. Things like their cattle, their house, or their family. We would love to explore more of the world for them so that they can get an idea of what else is out there and help enhance that creativity. In addition, creativity creates new ways of solving problems other than just logic-based. And that's something we desperately need to basically provide these kids with an opportunity to do. You can make a video about something you're passionate about, something you want to explore the world with. If you take a trip overseas or to another country and you want to share that trip with them, make a short video, say 5 to 10 minutes, showing some of the things that you encountered on that trip and some of the things that are different for these children to know about so they can learn about other countries. If you're passionate about something, say horses or manatees, or you're big into crochet or woodworking, make a video showing some of the things you do. Talk a little bit about those things you're passionate about. If you're big into music, show them a little bit about how you play the instrument. what's involved in playing that instrument, and then play them a song. Also, if you have the ability to do a craft and you want to make a video about how to do that craft, check with me if I can find the supplies in country to let them have the chance to do that themselves. I would love for you to make a video showing them how to do these type things, and then we would have them participate with the materials I could buy in country. The last thing you can do is help us spread the word. Not just monetary donations or visits, but people who have contacts are great for us, because it helps us spread the word about what we're doing. So if you know local TV stations and can get me in touch with them when I come back to country, or one of our people involved with Blessed to Bless You Ministries, Doug Johnson or Frank DeVito, where they can go out and share the word as well. We would love that. So these are some things I'd like for you to think about and just consider how you might could help us, or consider how you could engage us in ways that can help the kids. And that's the end of the presentation. I thank you for your time and listening.